Back to lesson number 2 of carving these Uncle Sam bolo ties. Measured my block. My block looks like it's going to be about 1.5 inches wide, 1.5 inches deep, and about 2.5, 2 3/4 tall. I took the liberty while I was off camera to draw on the major anatomy of where we want to go. This is the bottom of the hat, and I'll draw that all the way around on 3 sides because this is a relief carving. We're not carving all the way around in 3 dimensions. I carved the ear, at least a square where I want the ear to go, and the side berm. I do that on both sides. And then on the front, I've drawn across where the eyebrow is going to be and where the bottom of the nose is going to be. And I drew in the nose here. Nice little directions for where you want to go and what you're going to do. Tells you where the major features are going to be. And if you notice, the nose and the bottom of the ear are roughly about the same spot. So even though this is caricature, we still want to follow some kind of symmetry. I always draw a center line so I know where the middle is. This one's a little bit offset because when I drew the center line on, I realized the hole's here, but we can adjust a little bit of that as we draw. I drew the top of the hat, and I may take a little bit of liberty with that as well because I may want it out farther depending on how far the nose is. Because here, if we look at it, here is the front part of the hat, which means if you're doing caricature, the nose or the forehead has to fit somewhere right up in conjunction with where that hat is. You don't want the forehead much forward of the hat, nor do you want it much behind, because then it kind of looks like a Laurel and Hardy kind of thing that we're doing. I did go measure one of those bolo ties that I found out they are 36 inches long, and I just buy them off of eBay or some other places that I've bookmarked on my computer. And they're great. You buy them in bags of 10. If you don't want to, you can buy your own and burn the ends and put a little tip on them. But somebody already does that for me, and for the time I would take to do this, it's just not worth it. I'm not going to do that. I'm more than willing to let somebody else do that for me, especially for what little cost I got. When I carve, a lot of times I have to understand that the timing is big as well. I don't want to spend a lot of time doing something that someone else has already done, especially if it's going to cost me much more to do it myself than if they're going to do it for me. And this is one of those things that I don't really want to spend a lot of time doing if somebody else is going to do for me. Okay? If you have not taken the time to sharpen your knives, I would highly suggest, that you take a moment, pause this video, go sharpen your tools. The worst thing you can do is work with dull tools. I have hurt myself in the past when I didn't know any better, before I really got any good at carving, by using dull tools, because you're going to end up working harder with dull tools, trying to push them harder, and it's going to be worse off for you. I have several knives that I use over the course of a carving, and I just don't want to take the time to sharpen, so I have several of them along the way that I'll have ready to go. But take a moment to sharpen your tools. We'll wait on you. Actually, we won't, because it might take you a few minutes to sharpen, so we're not gonna do that. Tools for this project are fairly simple. You need a big knife, and I'd say big as in bigger than 1 inch. And I have here a couple of 1 3/4, 2 inches. This one is made by Pinewood Forge, and Dell Stubbs does a great job of taking Harley Repsol's carving idea for knives and does a great job of making the flat plane carving knife. This is a Drake made by Gil Drake out of Washington. They do a great job of making tools. It looks like both of these are about 2 inches. I'm going to need a V-tool, and then any other tools that we need along the way we'll pick those up as we need. Again, safety. Let's talk about safety. I use a glove. If you'll notice I'm missing a finger, that has nothing to do with carving. Don't be alarmed. But I lost a part of a finger, had to reattach the ring finger, and the thumb, lost part of the thumb, it's only about that long, to a table saw accident many years ago. That's one of the reasons I do not do table saw anymore. I have several friends that have table saws, and whenever I need something cut, long piece of plywood or something like that, I go to their house and they do it for me. They're glad to do that for me. I don't, simply because I don't have a use for it. I don't do a lot of woodworking, and what little I do, I can do with a skill saw. So Anyway, back to my story. You need some kind of carving glove. I use these ones here. I don't know if you can pull that off and you can see it. I get them off of Amazon, eBay, or whatever. As long as they're level 5, cut level 5, or other than stainless steel, that's the highest rating you can get. It's 1 through 5. 1 is like a cotton glove. 5 is these ones with fiber in them. Now, being a woven glove, it stretches, and it has stretch fibers in there, but it also has Kevlar fibers in there as well. Those Kevlar fibers are what are going to save your behind. Because if you're carving, and you are not using a 5 level carving glove, you can't do this. Carving across, I'm not going to cut that glove. I'm going to poke it, but I'm not going to cut it. So find some kind of safety glove to wear that you feel comfortable with. Now, I know a lot of people don't carve with a glove, and that's a personal choice. I'm not going to say anything bad about what somebody does personally. I do. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I was carving, and I removed my glove to do something, and then I saw something on a carving that I needed to fix, and I went to do it, and I just nicked the end of this thumb just a little bit, and it was enough to make it bleed like a stuck pig. It doesn't hurt that much, but it's just enough to aggravate you, because for the few seconds it takes to put on a glove while you're carving, you can't beat that time. You can't get that time back, and there's nothing more aggravating than to have a cut on a sensitive part of a finger or hand that you're holding something and it hurts to hold it because it's pressing up against that. So whatever safety measures you use, I'm not telling you, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to tell you how I do it. In all of my videos, I don't tell you how to do something, because what I want you to do is take my idea and make it better. I want you to be a better carver by looking at what I do and figuring out how you can do it better. And I'm challenging you that way to make it better. Mine are one way, and they're my way, and they're a way that I enjoy doing it. And over the course of the years of doing more than 1 or 2 of these things, I may change a little bit as I'm doing it. But what I'm telling you is you should find your own way. And whatever that takes to find that own way, if you find carving without a glove is better for you, I'm not telling you you have to carve with a glove. I'm telling you it's safer, but I'm not telling you you have to. So whatever you got to do to make sure you have sharp tools, good sharp tools, and whatever you have to protect your hands. I also use a thumb guard on my right hand, because sometimes I get a little aggressive and I get really close in there, and sometimes I just don't want those little nicks and knocks in my finger from slamming into it. So I use a glove that is 5 rated, and I use a rubber tip finger from the end of a rubber coated glove, and then I wrap it in this vet wrap. Some people say vet wrap is not as good as carving tape, but I found it to be as inexpensive, much more inexpensive, and just as easy to work with, and for me it's better. So I will load this pattern onto my website. If you've not been there, if you've not found me on the web, here I am. My website is ericowensart.blogspot.com. You can find that. I load up there most of what I do, and sometimes it's just a rant or a rave, or sometimes it's just a hallelujah, praise the world for what I've got going on, and it's a good thing. You can find me on Facebook at Eric Owens Carving, or on YouTube, sorry. You can find me on Facebook at John Eric Owens. Feel free to follow me along as you wish. Most of my stuff is public, because I'm not going to be political, and I'm not going to be annoying, and I'm not going to rant and rave about the good or the bad things. I'm gonna talk about carving and stick to that. So come along with us if you want to. If you don't, I understand that people are busy and you got enough time to do only certain things. Tools, again, I'm going to use a big knife or two, and I'll put both of them out here, so when one of them goes dull or I don't like the way it feels in my hand, I can switch to another one. I'm going to use my V-tool. I'm going to start with V-tool in the top of this hat. I want to shape the top of the hat, because how far back the hat goes is going to tell me how far back the face is going to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to V-tool right along. And when you V-tool, make sure you're making positive contact with the wood. I put my thumb here, and that limits the amount of travel of my tool. I can't go very far. I can't just wang it all the way over here and hit that finger. So I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to try to intersect that line. I'm going to take that line off. You can do this if you've got good wood and you've got a good tool. So all I'm going to do is just take off that line at the top of the hat. Now, if you've ever seen a picture of Uncle Sam, you know this is not a complicated carving. It's got a flat brim, so we don't have to worry about swooping it out or making it go up or down. And I like this one because when we go to paint, we only need 4 or 5 colors. I need a red, white, and a blue. I need a flesh color, and I need a gray. And then whatever color of the eyes you decide to do. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is shape in the top of that hat. What I want to do is V-tool around, and then I'm going to start taking off that hat. I want to shape it down to the corners. One of the things that I know we always try to teach in our club, I belong to the Idaho Woodcarvers Guild in Boise, Idaho, and I know one of the things we always try to teach new carvers is how to use your knife. And one of the ways to do that is to be able to take something square and make it round. And one of the ways to do that is to take off the corners. So if I took off every corner here, and I've created 2 planes then, 1 and 2. And if I take off both of those planes, then I've created 2 more planes in each cut. And every time I take off a plane, every time I take off a cut, I end up with two corners. So see, here I have a corner here and a corner here. One of the things I want to do sorry, I'm trying to turn off my timer there. One of the things I want to do is when I take that corner off, then I take that corner, and I take that corner, and you start to see a roundedness to it. That's basically what we're doing here. We're just going to take off these corners and go backwards from here back because of this hat. If you look at this hat, it goes back as well. So that's what we want to do. And I'm going to spend a few minutes doing this. By the time you come back, I will have taken some of this off and gotten it somewhat rounded. But anyway, we're at a little over 10 minutes, so we'll stop there. Videos, reason I limit my videos to about 10 minutes is they're easier to upload. Anything more than 15 minutes and YouTube takes forever to load no matter how fast your service is, and I have Cable One fast service. It seems to take forever if it's more than about 10 or 12 minutes. So I try to keep it under 15. That way it takes less than 30 minutes to upload, and it's easier to upload. I hate to do videos and it takes me 3 more days to upload those videos. Drives me nuts simply because there ought to be a better way to do that, but I'm not willing to pay a lot of money to upload free videos. I'm more than willing to carve, and I'm more than willing to share what I do, but I'm not willing to spend a whole lot of extra money for that extra time of uploading. So anyway, we'll pause this one right here, and we'll just pick it back up in just a few more minutes.